The Numinous Podcast with Carmen Spaniola.
Hi there, and welcome to the Numinous Podcast, where we have interesting conversations with everyday folks about the mystery of life. And every once in a while, I send you a brief missive, a little dispatch from here on the farm on Insilkshin-speaking territory, not too far away from a small town known as Summerland, BC. I'm your host, Carmen Spaniola.
Hey, boys. Okay, back up. There you go. Contact nutrition is one of those things it sounds so simple, but in practice, it just can be so hard. But what I love about it is that it's like a mnemonic device for us to remember our humanity, just being human with each other. That, connection is not rocket science, but it gets complicated by our histories and our biologies and our current power dynamics that, make it feel pretty fraught at times to connect in relationship. But just having like this very simple framework in your mind of like, this person's in my care. The tools I have right now are kind eyes, vocal prosody, safe touch, shared rhythm, maybe ingestion behaviors, which is eating and drinking. And for some reason this came up, well, it always comes up in the Numinous Network, but it came up in peer supervision, this story that I want to tell you, this little quick story about how contact nutrition is something that we all do when we're trying to establish rapport or any kind of connection. You may not realize this, dear listener, but I was a sales rep for many years, and I started off as a sales rep in food service, meaning food for selling in food to institutions, different brands. I started my career in sales selling off-label dehydrated potatoes to hospitals and stuff like that, not even the best brand. But I also sold some great brands, Tabasco, DeCecco pasta, Lavazza coffee, and then eventually I got a job in the wine and spirits industry. And that was because I was selling a second tier ketchup, E.D. Smith ketchup. Very good quality ketchup, I have to say, but obviously doesn't have the brand name and renown and cachet of Heinz. But I was doing so well in sales, in converting people to E.D. Smith ketchup, that the Heinz rep, it caught the attention of the Heinz rep in my area. And his girlfriend works in the wine industry. Now, this could have been his master chess, I don't know, but it did work. He got me out of his territory by saying, hey, you should meet my girlfriend. She's in the wine industry, and, there are jobs that come up there sometimes. And anyway, so through the network, I got a job in the wine industry. And I worked selling fine wines and spirits for 15 years. They were not all fine, I will say this. I sold some very, let's say, bottom shelf wine, okay? And in the wine industry, maybe in other industries, it's just my experience, they really love to ply the sales teams with trips, free trips. You win a trip to go to the winery. Very often it's with your manager, which is but there was this, and so I've been to some of the great wineries of the world, Louis Roederer, Paul Roget, Ruffino, I am not ungrateful, but the thing is, very often you're with your manager and it's your sales team. That's not who I want to go to these beautiful romantic places with, right? But there was this one time, our Greek supplier, Boutari, they offered a trip for a sales rep and a +1. Unheard of, very rarely happens. So just a pure pleasure trip to Greece. And so I really wanted to go on this trip with Ruben, and I was selling their bottom shelf, their, let's call it a house wine, the kind of wines that come in big 1.5 gallon size containers, right? Now, in Greek restaurants, as I'm sure with many different, like, do we still call them ethnic, but like culturally based or regionally based dining outlets, they have a lot of brand loyalty, right? Because it's like, this is what my parents drank, or this is the brand of, pasta that my grandmother would buy at the grocery store, So it's actually very difficult to flip a restaurant from their house wine, because it's got deep roots there, right? Even though nobody ever calls on them as a sales rep very often, it's just, you don't have to, because there are deep cultural, familial connections with these different brands. So there I was in Vancouver. I was in the East End. There's a lot of Greek restaurants, and they were all selling the competition. And my house wine was like maybe a little bit more expensive even. And it wasn't even necessarily, people have their ideas. They're not going to say, yeah, your wine tastes better than mine, because they're selling it at the restaurant. They have to be proud of it. But it's also it's the same thing they've drunk for decades, right? So, but I really, really wanted to win this trip. Okay, Skaha, back up. Here you go, Reverie. Your mash is coming here, Skaha. Back up. Good boy. There you go. Good boy, Bo. Everybody lines up for their mash, but Skaha always wants to get in there. So I went to all the restaurants, did side-by-side tastings with the wine, sat with, in every single instance, an old Greek man. Or, whether it was the owner of the restaurant, who's also the chef, or, in one case, there's this head waiter, Raz, older man. So, like, West End, Vancouver, this isn't that important, but it's like, it has a great community village feel, because it's like a queer identified neighborhood in a way. A lot of gay folks would live in the West End East End. Okay, now I'm getting it mixed up. It's been years since I've lived there. But anyway, Davie Street in Vancouver. So I went and I poured my more expensive bottom shelf Greek wine to try to get enough cases sold through the summer that I could go to Greece in the fall. And I'd spend time, and first, I just did what I always do, is I go and figure out, what do they care about? What kind of person are they? What are they going to like? What's going to matter to them that I can share about my wine? So I had to visit these places multiple times and drink wine with these old Greek men. And so I would hear about oh no, I didn't know that you can actually ski within an hour of Athens. I didn't know. Oh, you grew up in the Peloponnese. Oh, so it's like a different dialect in this. I learned all about how they came to Canada, what part of Greece they were from. I learned so much. I learned about their favorite varietals. I learned about how they became a chef or a cook. I learned just their recipes, and every single one of them was like, Carmen, I really like you, but there's no reason for us to change to your wine. It's more expensive and it's not as good. And I was like, look, I don't know that I agree that my Butari wine is not as good, but I cannot deny it's more expensive. But, thank you for your time. When I find something that I think will be good, they'd be like, you have this other wine that's more upper end, the Moscofilero, which I have to say, okay, sidebar, if you can find the Butari Moscofilero, it's spelled Moschofilero, Moscofilero. It's this beautiful, floral, fruity. If you like Viognier, but you want something that's not so, kind of, I don't know, cliche, flat, typical, we've all had a lot of Viognier now. Maybe all of us haven't, but maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you can find a Butari Moscofilero in a specialty wine shop. I am telling you, it is the wine of the summer every single year. Just like Dancing in the Dark is the song of the summer since 1985, Buttari Moscofiero. I'm telling you, it's still one of my favorites. The problem is, that's like, at the time, it was, say, like a $20 bottle of wine. And so by the time it went onto their list, it would be $40. That's not going to move as much as the house wine. That wasn't going to move the cases I needed to move to get to go on this trip. But I just, I kept visiting them. I would find unusual wines they would want. I used my dine out budget to actually like gift them special bottles of wine for when their daughter was getting married, like that kind of thing. And then finally it was getting like down to the wire and I was not going to win this trip. But I just decided I wanted it. I couldn't deny. I couldn't be like, it's too hard. It doesn't make sense for my territory, blah, blah, blah. And so I went back to every single one of those accounts and was like, look, Taki, or look, Raz, look, John. I fully recognize that this won't make any sense to you to bring in this wine, but I would really like to see the beaches of your homeland. I would really like to experience the weather in Athens in summer. I would really like to see and walk on the lands and be in the vineyards that you used to walk in when you were like, I would like to see where you're from, but I would need you to buy like 6 cases of my house wine or whatever it was. I did the math. And I know it's a big ask, but I wonder if you might reconsider. And dear listeners, every single one of them did, and I won, and I got to go to Greece with my now husband. I'm like all choked up about it. But the thing is, I know that if Raz were still alive and he was still head waiter at Taki's Taverna on Davy Street, and I walked in, and Ruben and I walked in, and I said, Raz, do you remember me? You gave me your old like 1990s copy of Greek wines and grape varietals, and I read up on it and I got to go to Greece. He would say, Carmen, oh my God, I haven't seen you in 20 years. How are you doing? You know why? Because there was so much contact nutrition flowing between us. Even when these old guys were like intimidating and not that interested in talking to me, I provisioned them with curiosity and interest, and all of those things came through. My kind eyes, the vocal prosody, the shared rhythm of me going in consistently and eating and drinking, trying things, hearing what they thought, remembering what they liked. I mean, that's why I was a really great sales rep. That's why people actually, I will still bump into people sometimes and they're like, do you remember me? You were my rep at this restaurant. I'm like, I absolutely do. I might not remember their name, but I remember that we had kids the same age, and I remember that they were really, really a stickler about their Alfredo sauce or whatever it is, So contact nutrition is just a way for us to remember our humanity. Like, what is the glue that keeps us connected? The word protocol, protocola, proto means first and cola means glue. Contact nutrition is a protocol. It's the glue. It's the things you do first that bond your connection strongly, which is, sort of makes me laugh because the full title of the book is How to Connect, Build Strong Bonds and Deep Connections Through Contact Nutrition. And then, like, in parentheses, no matter your attachment style, trauma history, or neurotype. And when I think of build strong bonds, I often think of like Gorilla Glue, right? So like there is this kind of, masculine coded kind of quality to the title of my book. It's long and wordy, but it does speak to the protocol. Contact nutrition is like a protocol, not a thing that you go like check, 1, 2, 3, but it's the glue. It's the thing you do to connect, in order to connect. It's not necessarily the words that you use. It's the tone, it's the attunement, it's the tracking, it's the rhythm. And we all know how to do it, But I would say, and this is like maybe a dispatch for another day, I would say it's been a long time since our main form of connection was like in person and interacting with strangers in the flesh first. And we have different norms that have shaped our nervous systems to feel sometimes a little uncomfortable even, like, or forgetful about, like, this is actually how we connect in a very mammalian sense. And so when I tell people I have a whole book on contact nutrition, which is made up of these 5 things, they're like, that is so sort of bleedingly obvious. Why would I need a whole book? And it's like, well, you tell me, how easy is it for you to connect with people? How easy is it for you to connect with strangers? How easy is it for you to connect across difference with, your neighbor, but you're trying to cooperate with them and you're at cross purposes. How easy is it for you to connect with people when what's good for them and what's good for you seem to be in conflict? It's hard. And so you have to come back to these like first principles. So anyway, that's one of my many stories I could share about working in the wine industry. But it also just like really made me think that, it sounds super simple, but actually it takes a lot of presence and attunement and like, genuine, like energy, contact. You have to be present in order to really connect. And these are the ways that you do it. The way you bring your presence. Anyway, if you're one of those people who's kind of like, I would love to join the Numinous Network, but I'm really nervous that I'm going to get overwhelmed by a whole bunch of people online. It's not like that. Just so you know, I may have like a lot of followers and, to you might think like, oh, this person, she's had a few books and it's like, it must be so full. It's not. There's like maybe 10% participation out of all of the members at any given time, and not all in every call, right? And so especially in the summer, it gets very quiet. So if you are somebody who's like, I would prefer to work in a small group, then come join the Numinous Network, come to Small Business Chat or, peer supervision if you're a therapeutic helper, or Witchcraft Power Hour, 3rd Friday of the month. We do a little crafting together and just, do the little vibe check. There are a lot of smaller calls, especially during the week. If you're worried that you're like, I'm introverted, and so I want to kind of get lost in the crowd a little bit, but I don't want too much of a crowd, then come to one of the ones that happens on the weekend. Because in the summer, even though all of the calls are more lightly attended, the weekend ones are relatively more attended. So you're more likely to have like 10 people in that call versus, 4 or 5 or something like that. So, join us in the Numinous Network if you want to chat about stuff like this, you want to vibe on stuff like this, if you just need a little more contact nutrition. Love to have you join us. And also, love it if you'd buy my book. If you haven't yet, I desperately need you to. I really need you to pre-order the book, because that actually is helping us pay to get them produced. And I need to have enough pre-sales that we can get a big enough print run that this book can be in stores. So please pre-order today if you haven't already. And if you have ordered, or if you are a member of the Numinous Network, thank you for supporting my work. Thank you. I recognize your names. I love that we're connected, and it just means the world to me when you like send me pictures on Instagram being like, hey, I saw your book at my local library or something like that. It's very moving for me. So thank you for all the ways that you've supported my work. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Also, many of you have told me that you love the dispatches and all the background noise, which is so ironic because I spent so many years just feeling embarrassed about, trying to find perfect, silent recording conditions for my podcast, and so often fell short with the sound quality. And now I'm just like, I'm just going to record through my iPhone while I'm outside doing chores, and roosters are crowing and, gravel trucks are driving on the back road and stuff. And y'all are so kind that you like this en plein air version. So thank you. Thank you for everything. I hope you have a great day. Till next time, take care.